Welcome to episode 2 of Exploring Esoterica. This episode we explore Dr. John Montanee's spiritual legacy. Imagine a man in 19th century New Orleans who was simultaneously a voodoo priest, physician, businessman, and spiritual leader, and yet most people have never heard his name. Dr. John Montanee's story challenges everything we think we know about success, spirituality, and the American dream.
You know what fascinates me most about historical figures like this? It's how their legacy can completely transform our modern understanding of success.
Well, what makes Dr. John particularly interesting is that he wasn't just surviving in a time when being a freeman of color was incredibly challenging. He was actually thriving. He owned a coffee house, dealt in real estate, and became this central figure in New Orleans' spiritual community.
That's remarkable for any era, but especially considering the historical context. How did he manage to build such influence?
So here's what's fascinating. He operated at this unique intersection of practical and spiritual realms. He was a contemporary of Marie Laveau, probably the most famous voodoo practitioner in American history, but he took a completely different approach to spiritual practice.
Oh, tell me more about that different approach. What made his practice unique?
Well, unlike the typical transactional relationship people often have with spiritual figures, asking for favors or specific outcomes, the tradition around Dr. John emphasizes offering rather than asking. It's built on this foundation of genuine relationship building with spirit.
That's exactly the kind of perspective shift we need in our modern instant gratification culture.
Right? And here's something really interesting about how they view success in his tradition. The word success comes from succedere, which literally means what comes after. They believe you're creating this infinite chain of cause and effect rather than just achieving a single goal.
That reminds me of how some Eastern philosophies approach spiritual practice. It's more about the journey than the destination.
Exactly, and they take this incredibly thoughtful approach to language too. There's this whole emphasis on the power of words and their origins. They believe that the etymology of words carries this unconscious power, so even the spelling and grammar in their practices are carefully considered.
Well, that makes me think about how modern neuroscience is showing the impact of language on consciousness and perception.
And here's what I find most compelling. They have this beautiful metaphor for how different elements of his legacy work together. They say historical facts are like the bones, folklore is the flesh, and conjure is the spirit. It's this perfect way of understanding how truth and mythology can coexist.
That's such a vivid way of looking at it, like each element has its own vital role to play.
And what's particularly relevant for us today is how this tradition challenges our modern need for immediate verification and results. It's saying that some things take time, that patience and persistence are actually crucial parts of the spiritual journey.
So in essence, it's offering an antidote to our culture of quick fixes and instant solutions.
Precisely. And here's what makes this so powerful. The method of preserving his legacy actually embodies the principles he lived by. There's no standardized approach, no guarantee of immediate results, just this understanding that each person's journey will be unique.
That's really making me think about how we approach personal growth and development in general.
Well, you know what's really striking? In an age where we're constantly looking for shortcuts and life hacks, here's this 19th century figure whose legacy reminds us that some of the most valuable things in life can't be rushed or forced. They have to be cultivated slowly, carefully, and with genuine dedication.
And perhaps that's exactly the message we need to hear in our fast-paced world.
Like when you think about it, Dr. John's approach to success and spiritual practice might actually be more relevant now than it was in his own time. We're living in an era where everyone's looking for quick solutions, but his legacy suggests that true transformation requires patience, authenticity, and genuine commitment.
That's such a powerful reminder for all of us. Sometimes the oldest wisdom is exactly what we need to navigate our modern challenges.
And maybe that's Dr. John's most important gift to us, this reminder that success isn't always about immediate results or visible achievements. Sometimes it's about the subtle changes that happen when we commit to something larger than ourselves, something that unfolds over time in ways we might not even recognize at first. The following is a more comprehensive overview of this podcast. Dr. John Montanee stands as one of the most intriguing figures in New Orleans' spiritual history, embodying multiple roles that shaped the city's cultural landscape. As a freeman of color, he established himself as a contemporary of the renowned Marie Laveau, participating in the vibrant voodoo traditions that flourished around Congo Square. His influence extended through various domains, serving as a drummer in ceremonial gatherings, working as both an herbalist and physician, and demonstrating business acumen through his coffeehouse ownership and real estate ventures. The historical record paints Dr. John as a multifaceted individual whose impact on New Orleans society transcended racial and social boundaries of his time. His reputation as a conjureman and spiritual doctor, combined with his success in business ventures, suggests someone who successfully navigated both the mystical and material realms of 19th century New Orleans. Dr. John Montanee, a grimoire by Dr. Louis Martinet, published by Black Moon Publishing 2014, presents a detailed framework for spiritual engagement with Dr. John's legacy through what it terms the grand working of necromancy. This practice isn't presented as a simple set of instructions, but rather as a comprehensive approach to spiritual work that requires dedication, patience, and authentic engagement. The grimoire emphasizes that success in these practices shouldn't be measured by immediate results or even consistent outcomes. A crucial insight comes from the etymology of success, derived from succedere, meaning what comes after. This definition fundamentally reshapes how practitioners should view their work, suggesting that spiritual practices create ongoing ripples of change rather than singular, definitive outcomes. The text explicitly warns against both premature celebration of early success and disappointment from repeated attempts without apparent results. The grimoire's approach to New Orleans voodoo places special emphasis on the personal relationship between the practitioner and the lower spirits. It advocates strongly for individualization of practice, stating that each person must find their own unique fit in both spiritual work and personal presentation. This perspective challenges the notion of one-size-fits-all approaches to spiritual practice, encouraging practitioners to trust their intuition about what brings them closer to spirit, lower, and deity. Language plays a crucial role in the grimoire's construction, with careful attention paid to spelling and word origins. The text quotes Bob Contradino's insight that the origin of words is the unconscious of language, suggesting that the very structure of language carries spiritual power. This attention to linguistic detail is presented as integral to the effectiveness of the spells and conjures contained within. The text strongly emphasizes the importance of approaching spiritual work with genuine respect and interest, rather than merely seeking favors. It specifically criticizes those who only approach spirits like Marie Laveau when they need something, drawing a parallel to how such behavior would affect human friendships. This speaks to a deeper philosophy of building genuine spiritual relationships rather than engaging in transactional interactions. The grimoire presents a three-layered understanding of spiritual work. Historical facts serve as the bones, folklore provides the flesh, and conjure represents the spirit. This metaphor suggests that complete understanding and effective practice require all three elements working in harmony. The conjures themselves are described as offerings to Dr. John Montanee, given without expectation of personal benefit. The text concludes by encouraging practitioners to master the grammar and perform the conjures with patience and dedication. It suggests that through this practice, practitioners can bring new life to historical knowledge and potentially establish their own connection with Dr. John's spirit. This approach respects both the historical reality of Dr. John Montanee and the ongoing spiritual tradition he represents in New Orleans voodoo practice. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the spiritual legacy of Dr. John Montanee. If you're intrigued by the mysteries of the occult and the power of forgotten truths, visit Black Moon Publishing for more insights into esoteric history and transformative magical works. This has been a presentation of Black Moon Publishing.